not perform much. Tonight at the Grain Mill, if they are all still awake and ambulatory, and it might take a lot of coffee, it will be Mark Smith, the legend, great friend of mine, also the originator of what is called the Poetry Slam that has started small here and has spread
all over the world.
International. I know you say it in a kind of self-effacing way. It's kind of a miracle, I think, Mark Smith.
It's pretty remarkable. It's in Brazil now, in Athens. Every year it's more places.
Well, but it also, it goes to the whole notion that you know, you think of music as being able easily to cross borders, but what you have found is poetry has that same power, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's the same experience, you know, everywhere. You know, proves that we're a human species and not all different. You know.
The last time you gave me the international flavor of Mark Smith, you had these poets from Germany in here. You've now brought 3. Not very tired at all. I came in here and using my Latin school French said, "Are you tired?" A little. 3 poets from France. Could you introduce them? Yeah,
we have YOPO and Zurg, and they are say hello.
Hello.
Yeah, and they are the organizers. They're poets themselves, of course, but they are the organizers of a big national event, slam event in France called the Ligue de Slam France.
And where in France?
In Juditeux.
How is his accent? I'm curious. Mark's been to France a few times. How do you deem his accent?
This is early morning.
Already,
that's right.
Already making fun.
You have the early morning excuse. You two, when did you first start your slam, and what kind of influence was he in that?
We started in 24 for me, and 1999 for Zurg. And which influence?
None.
No.
We've never heard of him. We don't even know who he is now. We've never heard of him.
All influence, because the spirit that Mark put into poetry really touched us, and we wanted to practice this way. So that's what we are doing.
You put on this festival once a year?
Yeah, once a year, and it's the 2nd edition this year.
Oh, the 2nd edition.
Yeah.
And who is this nice young man?
This is
not so young. Well,
Damien,
Mark and I are here, so you're young.
Damien Goulier? No, how do you say your last name?
Guillemot.
Guillemot. See, there's my accent.
It's hard to say.
But he goes by Monsieur Dome, and he was the champion at the festival.
Monsieur Dome, how did you first? How long have you been writing poetry, and what first grabbed you?
Good morning, Chicago. To answer the question, I write poetry since 2000 about. Before slamming, I was performing into rock and roll band, so I used to write songs into French language, and so we decided to stop the band in 2004, and this is in the same time I discovered slam. So it was for me a new opportunity, a new medium in order to write other poems in another scale, you know.
And it's also writing poetry in the performance fashion. You know, there have been many great poets, French, English, British, German, Brazilian, who can't and shouldn't be performing their poetry, right, Mark?
Right.
I mean, I've heard
some of the greats.
Yeah, some of the greatest poets in history have no business being on stage, don't you? Would you all agree?
Oh yeah.
Same in France.
Exactly, same in France. Poetry is so kind of boring if you read it with a sound. You know.
And I'm sure in France, and Mark, talk about this for a second, there's always been that great argument about poetry on the page and poetry in performance, and the people, many of them academics, who look down on performing poetry. That, You've been struggling with that for that kind of weird dichotomy for decades.
Yeah, and not only that, yesterday they went to Miller's Pub.
Yeah.
And they sat down next to some guy said, "Oh, you know Mark Smith? Yeah, I know him, and yeah, well, I don't really care for that poetry." And,
come on, at Miller's Pub,
yeah,
of all the places in the world.
This guy paid me a beer.
Yeah, you poets need a beer. Well, there's not a, as Mark will tell you, first of all, and you're very young, you better get used to the fact that there's not a lot of money in poetry. You all know that.
Oh, we know that perfectly.
Yeah, and you don't care, right?
Not a lot of money in radio either.
Yeah, exactly. Sunday morning radio, there's not enough money in that either.
But the problem, the dichotomy is still there sometimes, and it's kind of silly because it's my feeling, and I think I'm right, that performance is actually, to perform it makes it a higher art form because you have more choices in how to communicate. You have all the choices of writing and all the choices of performing, and an artist who has more choices can do more things with his art. So,
well, I also think it's like something like classical music. Even if you know how to play the piano, you would look at a piece of classical sheet music. I'm serious about this.
Yeah.
That's one experience. To hear that piece performed, it would change with each performer. It would change with each performance.
right.
We'll take a little break, and I will come back and we'll talk to the three young poets about their performance tonight at the Green Mill, always with, as it is with the Poetry Slam. And this Tuesday at 6:30, there's a reception and a performance at 7:30 at the Raven Theater, which is at 6157 North Clark Street. You performing in English or French?
Both.
So that's the cool thing. That's what makes poetry the international language. I learned this with the. Do you know these German poets?
Yeah, not just one, but we often go to Germany.
This is great. One day, thanks to Mark Smith, I will be able to tour the entire world, staying with poets, which would be great. Can I stay on your floor? Remember, you were on my radio show. Unlikely. We'll be right back. This is great. You hear the voice of Mark Smith, founder and leader of that remarkable and I think empowering movement called the Poetry Slam, which started at the
The Green
Get
Mill.
Me High
Yeah.
Lounge. Well,
Oh,
started to Get Me High,
yeah.
and then moved to the Green Mill, where it's been an institution in Chicago. And if you have not seen it, tonight would be a perfect time because he has just the three of you.
It's going to be the three Frenchmen and a guy named Joaquin from New Mexico will also be on the bill tonight. But they're the main event tonight. And yeah, go on.
And going to the Raven Theater this Tuesday, which really sounds amazing. 6:30 p.m. reception, 7:30 performance. You can go to raventheater.com or Chicago Slamworks.
To ChicagoSlamworks.com.
Go to ChicagoSlamworks.com because beyond Tuesday there are a lot of events going on. That's a really good website for you people to know and make one of your favorites. You three got to Chicago on Wednesday. What are your? I know you've got hard time at Miller's Pub. Someone goes, that Mark Smith, he doesn't know anything about poetry. They got a hard time and a free beer at Miller's Pub. A hard time and a free beer. What do you think of Chicago, you three?
It's
So
great.
far.
Chicago, I think it's a crazy town because all the people we discover, they're happy, they're open, they want to talk with us, they explain their own life. We met yesterday an homeless, and so we gave to him $1, and he was talking to us while 10 minutes with a big smile. Open town.
Well, you haven't taken these kids out to, sadly, Englewood. They were here, but I'm serious.
I
Can
took
you
them to
even
the south side.
Can you even imagine? I mean, I can just sense that you guys are smart, looking at you, and you're nice getting up this early. But imagine taking them to Lawndale or Englewood or Austin and seeing that whole side of it. How something like that would affect their own poetry. Do you want to do can you perform?
Yeah.
You can perform this early in the morning? I have the feeling that you guys, there have been bars and taverns and saloons and bistros.
They were at Rose's.
Blues Club.
Yeah, Roses.
Nice. In Europe, there where you performed at 10 minutes to 7 after performing all night. So I think you can do it. What can they do? What are they?
They're going to do a section from a poem called 51 Messages. It's the old message story.
The radio stage is yours.
Okay. Are you ready, guys?
Beep, beep,
Beep,
beep,
beep,
beep,
beep,
beep,
beep,
beep,
beep,
beep,
beep,
beep,
beep,
beep,
beep,
beep, beep. Vous avez 51 nouveaux messages.
You've got 51 new messages
Please press the star key.
for our air that filled with stars, and it's good to remind us with an
Artificial.
voice that not even in your wildest dream, not even from your fingertips, will you be part of the star system.
Vous ne faites pas partie du star system.
You're not part of the star system. Beep. You're not famous.
So really,
Please hold down. A counselor is about to take your call.
from the slip of her lips, chapped with a scum, to tell you,
La meilleure méthode,
To beep off. Waiting time 4 minutes.
veuillez prendre votre ticket.
do you want a receipt?
Hello, may I help you?
This communication will be charged
$40 la minute.
For any payment by check, please specify
Identité.
ID,
test ADN,
DNA test,
Test HIV.
HIV test,
empreinte digitale,
fingerprints,
Test urine.
urine test,
empreinte rétinienne,
eye test,
Extrait du casier judiciaire volet 2.
copy from police record part 2. Are you a terrorist?
I'm afraid not.
Raise your hand high and say,
Je le jure. Processing voice identification.
Checking completed.
Identification terminée.
Granting your debit authorization. You may now overconsume. Have a nice day and be aware all the while.
Vous avez 34 nouveaux messages.
You've got 34 new messages.
You should see Casey Baker, Bob Ferguson, and I had these huge smiles on our face. That was fabulous, you guys, just fabulous. Mark, in seeing a performance like that, and it occurs to me that the German kids too did that the performances are getting more expansive. Yes,
Well,
I
yeah,
mean,
that's
there's
part of what we're doing here. This is the same process we took the Germans through. We call it performance interpretation. That mixes both the languages, not sticking literally to the exact translations, and having fun with it, and making both the English and the other language a performance in itself. And I think it's up to
there's
no.
no question.
I don't-
Well, there's
I
also
don't-
no question that it works. That was really a lovely performance, you
Oh,
three. And
good.
you seem to, just by looking at you, you seem to have a great deal of fun doing it too, yeah?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
If you,
This has been really new for them. They like it.
yeah, you have to be happy when you are performing, and it's brand new for us because we are friends for 5 years now, but we never performed together.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's brand new for us, and we are happy to see that all over the ocean it's the same sensibility, same feeling, and because this takes I wrote it into French, but I was not sure that it will be works into English language, you know. So
Well, this has got to be a very expanding thing for you too, to realize that this can work in this way. And I'm assuming, Mark and young people, that it works if you collaborate with German poets or you collaborate with Brazilian poets. It is a kind of, I don't mean to make too much of this, it is really becoming through this an international language.
Yeah, no, it's a new process that can be passed on. So it's like it's like the slam itself.
Exactly.
The slam was a show and a way of presenting poetry, but it was more the show and how the attitude towards it that worked, and it's been passed around. This interpretation thing is also something that can be passed
No,
around.
no
and
question. I looked at Bob Ferguson and Casey Baker's face while you were performing, and these guys
if the
were loving
engineers like it,
Never
You
loved
have
it.
got a
working.
good artistic director.
Oh yeah.
Yes, he is.
Thank you so
That
much.
he is. He's been a mentor to me too.
Rick
in
taught
many
me
ways.
everything
Yeah,
I knew
yeah.
when I was
Every
riding
morning,
the back seat of
6
his
o'clock,
cab.
wake up, wake up.
This is
Practice,
right. I wish,
practice.
you know, this show were like some kind of documentary show. Casey Baker would have been with a camera when Mark was trying to get you guys up wherever you're staying. He would have been there at Miller's Pub. When someone goes, Mark Smith, he doesn't know what he's doing. But have a beer anyway. It's lovely to meet you three, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your time in Chicago. You can see them all, including Mark Smith, tonight, of course, at the Green Mill. But more importantly, Tuesday at the Raven Theater, 6157 North Clark Street. There's a 6:30 reception, the 7:30 performance. It's all it's a benefit. Performance is only $10. $10. You got more than $10 worth of performance in the last 5 minutes. Go to ChicagoSlamWorks.com. ChicagoSlamWorks.com. Bon chance. Bon
Thanks a
chance.
lot.
Merci.
Thank you for and have a nice
These guys will
day.
come back. They'll go back to France. How was everything? We met two guys with the worst French accents.
No.
Mark, their names are Mark and Rick. Mark, it's always great to see you, pal. What you're doing is just this is multiculturalism and internationalism, and there may indeed one day be peace because of poetry. We'll be right back. You got that? That was fucking fantastic.
Fucking fantastic.
That was great. I will keep you posted on this.
Oh yeah.